Awesome. Okay, we already had a nice, good welcome from Yaron and Lynn and Dares, which we're super excited about. Welcome to the library. We are excited to have a soapbox to tell you about our wiki since we're hosting, so you get to hear from us. My name is Amber Larsen. This is Danielle, Batson. The two of us and our boss Dares, who you met briefly, just barely, we are the total staff that run our wiki. So we're excited to tell you about it and excited to show you all of the background of why we're important. You got a little bit of that from Lynn, but we're about to wax poetic on you, so get excited for that. Okay, so I'll start. I'm just gonna put this in my pocket. All right, so we're talking about how the wiki came to be, where we're at now, and where we're headed for our wiki. We say the wiki. I know you guys all have wikis, but we call ourselves the wiki, so we're not trying to steal that from you. That's just how we're feeling. Capital W, the wiki, yeah. So we are the FamilySearch Research Wiki is our full name, but that's a mouthful. So the wiki, I'm sorry, is gonna have to substitute for what we say. First, our wiki is created to assist in the FamilySearch mission statement of we enable inspiring journeys that bring joy to all people as they discover, gather, and connect their family, past, present, and future. That is the overall goal of FamilySearch, and we have many different FamilySearch products and initiatives to help with all aspects of this. The wiki is just one of them, but that is the thing that we try to enable by providing the resources that we give in our wiki. So, as a background, we're going to talk briefly about family history and genealogy, like a 30,000-foot view of it as an industry or like a movement, I guess, for better terms, and why we exist in this space and what the need is for us. Genealogy is the second most popular hobby in the United States behind gardening. Gardening is the top one. And then researching your own family history is the second most popular hobby, which is really cool. We're not counting like watching Netflix, and like that doesn't count as a hobby, right? But we're talking like practical hobbies that people actually feel fulfillment in, I guess. Not to say you can't feel fulfillment in Netflix, but. So genealogy is a big deal. It's radically popular, and there's lots of reasons that people want to seek out their genealogy. Medical and genetic history is becoming a big one recently, and you see that with DNA testing, places like 23andMe or other genetic testing for medical purposes. Some people are just curious about their genealogy. Where do I come from? Where's my family from? Some people really we all need a sense of identity, and a lot of that can come from where you come from. Based on where's my family come from, what stories do I come from, what family strengths or struggles have I survived as a product of, where my people have come from, and a connection to something greater. We like having a greater cause, right, or a greater purpose in something in our life, and genealogy is a big way to do that. It's a good way to feel immediately connected to everyone, even if you feel like you don't have a social circle. Maybe you do have a family circle, always. There's always people who came before you who you belong to. So there's lots of good background for why genealogy is a big deal in society now. Building family trees is a big part of this, and knowing ancestors and who you come from. To build a family tree, it requires evidence of individual ancestors, so you can place them in those places in your tree, right? To gather that evidence, that comes usually in terms of documentation or oral histories or oral genealogies. And so to locate those kinds of things is going to vary based on where your people come from. If you think of just different countries in the world or different homelands, records are kept in different ways based on the different histories of homelands and their governments or their religions, which means documentation is different per homeland. And even in just this room, as we've done some preliminary research into some of your trees that have requested this genealogy experience, you guys all come from many different places, and the nature of finding families in those places is very different because of the records and the languages. And so because of that, we realize that there's a need for all this information to be in one spot so people don't have to wonder, well, how do I even research in this place? Hence, we exist. So knowing what documents exist for your country that you're researching in is really important. Where you can access those documents. Are they online at FamilySearch or Ancestry.com or a national archive? How do you search them? Even if you do find them, how do you use them? What time periods do they cover? How do you read them if they're in a language that you're unfamiliar with or a handwriting that you're unfamiliar with reading? So those are all the kinds of things we tried to compile in our wiki. So we are owned by FamilySearch, but we're not just FamilySearch focused. We try to direct users to anywhere online that they could possibly find information for their genealogy. So With that background of the industry, I'm going to pass this to Danielle, and she's going to talk about the past of the Wiki.
Ah, yes, the past. Don't we all love it? Okay. We have a unique background. When we started this, I'm supposed to say more, but Lynn already did. We were the Genealogical Society of Utah, and we started in 1894, and then this lovely building was opened in 1985. And as you can see, there's a lot of construction going on around here, and we're sorry, but we're usually half the time in construction because we have to meet the needs of the people. And if you'd seen this place in 1985, the needs were very different. No internet, kids. So we've come a long way, and so we apologize for the construction, but good things are coming, so you must return. When we, let's see, the specialists, yes. Okay, the specialists and resources expertise across the globe, that's what we have in the library. Our goal is to have something on every location in the world. Some countries have more genealogical information online, and others don't yet. So we try to meet all those needs. Starting from scratch was super duper fun. That's sarcasm. We started with paper research outlines for guests. So basically we did everything in paper, right? We wrote down all these resources. Danielle's never heard of paper. But yes, we used that. And then of course we'd have to get it approved because you gotta have it done right? And then by the time it left the person that was writing it, it was already out of date because something changed. So in 2008, we decided that we were going to be wild and crazy and get into technology and try things out to build a knowledge base of all the information so that our users around the world can use it. Okay, so this is what we look like. We'll just move on. Okay, we actually tried to start with a different software because we were exploring. This was new ground for us. And we started with the Plone, I guess that's how you said it, Plone software, which I have no idea what it looks like. I wasn't around for that. I'm much too young. And then we switched over to Media Wiki, and it really did save our life. We had an employee that knew, he was a genealogist and also technology guy-ish, and he brought it to our attention about Media Wiki, and we started it out. He actually built his own, he created his own account, I believe, Darius, right? He did his own account, and then we just started adding stuff. And as management saw that this was a great way to capture our information and no longer publish paper, it really took off. So, the one thing, no, not the one thing. So what we started with was specialists from the library that compiled information and took that content from the research wiki. I'm getting out of order, sorry guys. Okay, so when we had the wiki, the world is a big place and records are vast and unique, as Amber said. So it was difficult for us to get information immediately. We took those research outlines and put them in. They were by country, and in the United States, they were by state. And then we had some of the employees that help, or specialists that have expertise in different areas, help us add information. We also had some dedicated FamilySearch employees who were over a group of volunteers, and that number has gone from 6 to 25, 30, and back down, and it just changes. But these volunteers work with us to make this content accessible. Okay, and then we opened it up to public editing, which is the whole point of a wiki, right? Sorry. Yes, and so that was the whole point. Well, I'm just going to tell you, if you open up a wiki and just say, go for it, genealogists, add your knowledge, you're going to get a lot of different kinds of knowledge. You're going to get, there's no scope if you don't give them a direction or a standardization or, you know, what you want in it. That's a bad thing. And unfortunately, we left it like that for quite some time until Amber and I, till we were full-time in charge of trying to make order out of chaos. Anyway, but those that did add that information are amazing genealogists, and we appreciate a good portion of our information in our wiki is from them. So the community is really important to us. Okay, we created 10 language wikis at first, and then we regretted it because it was 10 wikis, and we didn't know what we were getting into. And that has made some really sad language wikis. When your staff only speaks English, it's hard to write in another language. And back then we didn't have the resources we have today, of course. So we created those, but we have gone down in number of how many we have, so we can focus on just the English wiki, because we will never have the resources we need. We also kept other things for FamilySearch because we were a cheap way to get information up on the internet, and we would not have to be what we call correlated, which means the big boss goes through and makes sure we don't say something dumb out of copyright, you know, that kind of thing, to make sure it's appropriate. Well, if you have even 2,000 pages, trying to get that done is impossible. So the wiki, because of the way it was created and the Creative Commons license that we adopted, we provided a way that we can do that instantaneously, like any other wiki in the world, right? And then we put other information in there because other parts of the department couldn't get their stuff through. So it was really fun, but we've kicked most of them out because now the opportunities are so much better for us with websites, and our technology is so much further that they don't need to be in our wiki. Okay. Is it still me? Yes, it is. No? I think it's me. No?
Is it you still?
Yeah. Okay. I want to show you how to get to the wiki. If you do FamilySearch.org, you will get this main screen, and if you do search, there at the 8th position is Research Wiki. Don't ask why we're 8. This is the main page, current main page of the wiki, and we are going to be doing some updates with some cool stuff with WikiWorks help, and yeah. This is a common page in the wiki. It is directed to Sweden genealogy, meaning that all the information on here is about Swedish research. So if you find out you're Swedish per se and you don't know what you're doing, you come to this page and it'll give you suggestions. We have articles, wiki articles on the left, or my other left, the right, and it lists different topic pages. And here's an example of a topic page. Sweden cemeteries. And one thing we learned is that people don't like to read paragraph academic stuff, which is what we wrote back in 2000. So we had to readjust as we took feedback from people who used our wiki. And tell you the truth, well, you guys may all know this. Genealogists, they want to click on links they don't want to read unless they don't find anything in that link they go to. So we have provided that at the top of the pages so they can't get away. Our audience can range from beginners to experts in genealogy. So it's hard to meet that need, but that is one thing we found all of them like. We also have locality pages for this county in Sweden that are specific to all the records that were created in that jurisdiction, the county jurisdiction. And then we have the resources list below by topic, and that we found has been very helpful for people to find what they need.
Okay, now it'll be me again. Oh, that's fine. You did great. All right, so that's kind of the basic structure of how we are organized. We're organized by location. So you kind of have to know where your people are from in order to know where to find your resources. So we try to organize that, like Danielle just said, by location, not just country level, but also sub-localities is what we call them. So if you have questions, talk to us because we can spout at you for like hours about this. But I'm going to give you a quick like baby example of how someone might use this use the wiki to actually find information, in case you're curious. So we know this guy, Albert Einstein. There's a little screenshot. Albert Einstein became a US citizen, which is great for him. So we know he immigrated to the United States, and insert your ancestor here for whatever genealogy problem you have. So if my ancestor was Albert Einstein and I want to find that record of him naturalizing or becoming a citizen, how would I even begin to find that? I did get a hint from Google. It does say that he naturalized in Trenton, New Jersey, so that is a hint there. But from here, click the next button, how would I go about finding this record? And the wiki is for that exact purpose. So we'd go to our research wiki and find the location. So there is a page for each state in the US and also each county. But in this case, we'll go to New Jersey because we knew that he naturalized in New Jersey. And on the side there, we have an article for naturalization and citizenship. We try to have articles for many different kinds of records that you could possibly need in genealogy research, and that is one of them. So we'll go to the naturalization article, and we have a nice database for naturalization records. This one happens to be at FamilySearch, but also many other websites can have similar databases as well, and we try to link to all of those. So in this case, I'll click my database to do my research, and I will go to the search page, type in Albert Einstein. Obviously, adjust your search parameters. You guys are smart. You're techie. You know how to change search parameters. Search for Albert Einstein, and we have some matches immediately. I won't make you cram your eyes to try to read all those things. But we do have an Albert Einstein. We've got his birthplace, and we have also his naturalization in Trenton, New Jersey. And we even have images in this particular collection on FamilySearch of Albert Einstein's Declaration of Intent, which is part of the naturalization process, where you can get even a little picture of him right there in the bottom corner, which is so cute and fun. So naturalization records are just one type of record that we deal with in genealogy. Think like birth records, marriage and death, and court records on land and property, and like taxation, like so many different kinds of records. But that's just a very brief example of how people use our wiki, is they know, I want to find this kind of record or this information about an ancestor in this place, and then we tell them where those resources are. So there's your little example. Okay, we're gonna jump into talking about today's research wiki and what we're experiencing. We have limited FamilySearch engineering resources. FamilySearch is a nonprofit, which we love, and that does come with some budget challenges. And shockingly, the wiki is not the most, we're kind of self-sufficient in a lot of ways, which means that there's bigger fires to put out engineering-wise on other parts of the website. So we tend to not get a whole lot of engineering resources in high quantities. And in the past, the engineering resources that we did have didn't have a whole lot of MediaWiki expertise in order to fix bugs that we had or to upgrade us to new versions of MediaWiki. So we were often always several versions behind and things kept breaking, which is not great. So now we have WikiWorks, and Brian is our guy for that right now, which has been amazing. So we're really happy to not have to try and figure that out ourselves and rely on actual experts, which is really great. So we're grateful for that. So that's where we're at right now with MediaWiki. So we started small. We're like a baby little wiki with just the basic research outlines, and now we're the largest genealogy guide on the internet. There are others, but we cover the greatest number of homelands and topics and other smaller locations. And you guys probably don't know what Roots Tech is, but Roots Tech is the largest genealogy conference in the world. We regularly have tens of thousands of in-person visitors to Roots Tech, as well as up to hundreds of thousands or 1 million online every year, which is really exciting. So in almost every Roots Tech class, they quote our wiki or they reference our wiki without us even asking them. Just genealogical professionals in the industry really care about and trust our wiki, and we're really proud of what we've done with all the work there. We are also experiencing spamming and especially scraping overloads, as you guys also have experienced in your wikis, I'm sure. We've had decrease in staffing just kind of as things shuffle around, which is what happens often. So we don't have enough internal resources to moderate and fix all of the edits and contributions that our users give. Bless the public. We love them, but we can't keep up with checking their edits and moderating and patrolling. And so if bad content or inconsistent content gets in our wiki from public users, it creates a bad user experience, and we also don't want that to happen, which is a tough time. So because of that, we also have what we affectionately call WebCAG. Do you want to talk about WebCAG? Or is that me? Okay, I can't remember what I was doing. Nobody wants to talk about WebCAG. For those of you who have been unaffected, you're very lucky. The EU last year, I think, released some required accessibility guidelines for websites that if you want to be visible in an EU country, you need to follow accessibility standards for those who maybe have visual impairment or use screen readers. And we want to be that, but our wiki is massive and we're small staff to make things pretty and user-friendly. And so we've gone through the great efforts we've implemented approved revs to try to solve some of that problem of not having inaccessible content coming in. We also have had to implement alt text for all of our tens or hundreds of thousands of images, which is a lot. We've had 90,000 plus broken links on this wiki because we have 155,000 plus articles, which is huge, and we don't know what's on all those articles. We've had to fix old table code, like old wiki table code that no longer is compatible with accessibility standards. We finally also got Vector 2022 for our new skin, so that helped a lot as well. So we've just had a lot of struggles trying to meet these needs in a timely way, but we're getting there. We're getting there quickly. So as part of that, we've been using Lighthouse, the Google, if you just right-click on Chrome and inspect and use Lighthouse, to scan your page to see where the accessibility problems might be for us to get an idea of what our problems are. So it'll give you a little quality score, and because we have so many pages, it's a long time to check each one. As a little preview, if you just do it manually, this is what that looks like in your inspect screen. The Lighthouse thing is right up there in the top corner, and you can scan a page and it will give you a little score of how accessible your page is and what the problems are on it, which is cool, except it takes a long time to run each page, which is a big struggle. And so we coerced Jared, who's here at the conference today, to create a tool for us, which is super cool. This is a little screenshot of what it looks like. Jared has created this Lighthouse automation tool that we can load a bunch of page titles in, and it will run and scan using Lighthouse many pages at a time, because our wiki is so big, we can't do it manually for 150,000 plus articles. So we're really excited to be using this to help us in the future figure out what our problems are and make our content more accessible to those who have visual impairment and use screen readers. I cannot do it justice. If you have questions and you're in person, you get the chance to talk to Jared about what he's doing, about how he's created this, and we're really excited about it. So we're grateful for this to help us with WebCAG. All right, I think you are next. Do you want me to keep going? Okay, great. I'll just keep going. I am on a roll. I talk a lot, as we can already tell. Okay, so especially because of those accessibility guidelines by the EU, too many public editors now becomes a big risk. Because if we have public editing, they could be creating content or adding content that would make our page inaccessible by the new EU standards, and that is not a good time for us. So we had to make the decision to have no more community editing directly into our wiki, which I know you're like, but it's a wiki. That's the entire point. And we agree. But our content is really important to be, a big priority for our content is to have it available across the whole globe, which includes the EU. And there are enough things that our community has maybe contributed in the past, or that we're worried about, even formatting issues or the way that we do bullet points even, that make things inaccessible to those screen readers, that we can't keep up on fixing all the problems and also creating content. So we've had to turn off community editing directly into the wiki, which is really unfortunate. So instead, we have a submit a content or report a problem form for community contributions that we will then take and add to the wiki so that we can make sure that they're added in a way that's not going to compromise our accessibility. Our language wikis also have become a struggle, as Danielle said. We can't really maintain or update them in a timely way with our limited resources and also our limited language expertise. The information in our language wikis was inconsistent with current genealogical data in a lot of times, and it's also outdated. We don't currently have staff language experience to accurately update these. So instead, we have made the temporary workaround to install the Google Translate extension on our pages. It does mean our wiki is still an English wiki, but it does provide an opportunity for people of any language to access our content and view it in their language. So until we can figure out a way to automatically clone our whole wiki on demand into every single language without creating so much extra server needs, this is our current workaround for that problem. We've also created a manual of style for all of our content, finally, to get things structured in an organized way. Because if we have more consistent user experience, that creates better reputation for our wiki and also meets the user's needs better. Our standard page structure can also improve results with AI when AI consumes our content, so we'll get to that. Okay, where are we going in the future? This is a great question, and this is what we think we're doing in the future. Like I just mentioned, we're going to standardize some content. Danielle talked about how when the community adds stuff and when we had no regulations, stuff came in all kinds of shapes and sizes. And we didn't even know about half of it because our wiki is so big and we don't know every single page in our wiki. And so to be better able to be consumed by AI for any language learning model across the internet, and also for better user experience, when a user comes to look at the civil registration page for Nigeria, it'll be a similar structure as the civil registration page for Sweden, right? That they'll know kind of where the information should be on the page, and it can be kind of consistent. So organic visitors to the wiki can also have a good experience, as well as AI can consume it in a better way. We also need to have more content for the entire world. We're focusing on adding new information. So as new databases of records are released by different major websites or different archives, we try to add those as quickly as possible. We want to create pages for more localities across the world, and also for more record types for places that we don't have a lot of information for different homelands. We need to consolidate overlapping content, because when the community decides, I want to make a page for this topic, and then someone else independently wants to do the same thing, and we don't know where that content overlaps. So we're trying to consolidate duplicate and redundant content. We're also trying to remove irrelevant content, because when it's open and a free-for-all, people are like, oh, I'm going to put my dad's life story in here, which is so cool for them, but our wiki is not the place for that. And so sometimes the content is not relevant to our goals and outside of our scope. We also are looking into and trying to incorporate wiki content directly into other parts of the FamilySearch site. So those of you who have a FamilySearch account and have created a little family tree on that account, we would love to investigate to see how we can provide research direction directly into the family tree, so people don't have to try to locate our wiki from actually putting things into the tree themselves. So we'll see if that comes down the pipeline at some point. We also need to figure out how to add content more efficiently. We probably need double the amount of pages that we currently have in order to meet the needs of our global audience. We have 150,000 articles right now, and you're thinking that's already way too huge, and it's not big enough, actually, shockingly. So we probably, to fill the needs we would love to fill, would love in the future, long ways down the road, to have about double or more of what we have. So in our efforts to have a limited staff, but also to gather the relevant content and information and then publish it faster, we need to figure out ways to do that in a better way. AI probably has a lot to do with that. We're just trying to figure out how best to locate that information and gather it together. FamilySearch also does have some play in AI in parts of the other parts of the website using the research assistant. It does train the research assistant on some of our wiki content, which is cool, but it is still in early stages, and it often misinterprets the information on our page or does not prioritize the information in an accurate enough way to be as helpful to users as what it might be down the road. It's much better than it used to be, which is awesome, but we know there are still some bugs, so we recognize that, and hopefully as we standardize our content, the AI can spit it back in a more accurate way. We've been having issues with replace text, which has been a struggle. We keep getting an expansion depth limit exceeded error on our pages when we use replace text for some reason. So you guys can come tell us why that is if you want after. I'm sure Brian already knows. So we've stopped doing that. But because we have so many pages, we often need to use big editing at the same time, and replace text was our original way to do that. We cannot anymore. So we've been using AutoWiki Browser, which I'm sure is like normal for you guys, but it changed our lives. So we're really excited about that. It has been a lifesaver. So we've been able to fix a lot of things en masse that we were not able to do previously with replace text. And also, as you guys are very well aware of your own struggles and experiences, AI is a blessing and a curse for all of us. And the curse in our situation is that the scraping of maybe more immature AIs overloads our servers often, and we are a big wiki. And so if someone is trying to scrape our whole wiki, it very quickly takes down our servers. We were having issues with it, not just scraping our live content, but also every talk page and every version in the view history, and every comparison of every version in the view history. And so it became an exponential and infinite problem. And it would take us down pretty often. And we didn't really, it caught everyone by surprise, I guess, right? So Google has figured out how to not take us down when they index us, but the AIs have not figured that out yet. So we are currently battling that dragon. We investigated Cloudflare for a bit, which I know is a great favorite for many of you. FamilySearch, we are owned by them, so we play by their rules. FamilySearch uses Imperva, so that is what we are currently using in our attempts to prevent the scraping from happening. We also, whenever we get these, we never know until we get like a Splunk alert, which is how we get our notifications that things are a problem. And we just get them individually when they come in, and then we just Band-Aid each one. It's kind of how it's been going. We do have like better systems in place now, but that's kind of how we operated for the first bit, which is not, as you can imagine, radically effective. So we're trying to figure that out still, and we need to figure out a better way to protect our servers without as much scrambling and being like, oh no, we're being scraped. How do we solve the problem? And because that's what we're currently experiencing. Okay, there's your spiel about our wiki. So what we've done so far is we've covered, where we came from now, from the library and our old research outlines to then volunteers and then community contributors, and we've had to shut that down. So unless you guys give us a staff of like 50 people, we no longer have community editing, which is so not the point of a wiki, and we get that. So that's where we're at right now. And hopefully in the future, we're going to add so much more content and somehow miraculously make a way for us to be able to manage all those pages and do all that we need to do with the resources that we have, and we're excited about that. So there's more than you ever thought you wanted to know about the FamilySearch Research Wiki, and more than you ever thought even existed in the first place. So if that has like piqued your interest at all, hopefully you've been playing a little bit at some point in our wiki and kind of browsed around and see what we have in there. We have currently a team of volunteers of about 25 volunteers who help us add content. Their skills range from very, very beginner computer usage to a little bit more advanced. And so they help us add in new content and records that we know about for different genealogical, from genealogical institutions or resources or archives, and add those to our wiki. So we are still continually growing, even if our pace gets interrupted by external sources out of our control, I guess. So, all right, so that is the brief history of the FamilySearch Wiki. We're excited that you guys are here. Thank you for coming to MudCon in Salt Lake. Oh, thank you, Danielle. This is my nice little ending slide with our logo. And we're excited to host you guys. And we're so grateful for MediaWiki. It has been a massive, massive lifesaver for us to be able to deliver content. And our wiki, I think, is I think when it's the biggest access point for the general public for FamilySearch because of how much we get organic browser searches from Google and other browsers. So our wiki has become huge and really successful thanks to MediaWiki as a platform for us to do this in an effective way. And we're so happy about it. So that is FamilySearch. Thank you for letting us spiel at you. And we're excited to have the conference here. So thanks, you guys. We can take some questions. I forgot. Daniel has a question.
Daniel.
For those of us who know how to edit with like proper wiki syntax, how does one get access to be one of the volunteers who can add new content?
Oh, that's a great question. Daniel asked for those who have editing or good editing experience and know proper wiki syntax, how does he become an editor? Or how does one, I guess in general, become an editor in that way? This is a great question. Speak with us afterwards. Right now,
You can't.
Right now, you can't, Daniel. So we want to figure out a way in the future to enable those kinds of users that we trust better to be able to do that. Our staffing resources right now are just trying to struggle it through. So.
Volunteers, missionaries, bring it up. Okay, so our volunteers, they're actually.
You want to hold that?
Sure. That gives me more confidence. We have missionaries that serve for our church in all types of, whether proselyting or helping welfare, going to Africa, we just have missionaries everywhere. Well, we also use them for those that can't get out of their homes and have some medical issues. They can apply to be a missionary, and Amber and I will create projects is the word, to help them put the information correctly. Right now, we have the most complicated manual of style on earth, and I know that, but I don't know how to do it any other way. So with our resources, there's probably 1,000 different ways to do it, but our resources are just not there. So if you particularly want to play with us, just let us know, but the general public for now cannot. because we can't even control it with our own employees at times. Yes, Ike?
Have you considered allowing edits, but then automatically checking with light search to make sure it passes accessibility?
Oh, sure, no. The only thing we've done that we,
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Oh,
can you repeat it?
Sure. Ike asked if we'd considered implementing something like light search to allow people to edit but have it check for if it meets our accessibility standards. Oh, okay, I'll answer it, sure. No, we have not thought about that.
Now you have.
Now we have. We'd have to ask you about more details about it. Our manual style, as Danielle mentioned, is radically complicated and way too verbose. So if there's a way to train it on the very specifics of our manual of style, we could attempt that. If that would make our lives easier, we're totally open to looking into things because we don't want to be closed down to editors forever. Like, we don't want that, but we use approved revs right now for people that are allowed to edit. But that number that's not our exact team of missionaries and volunteers is very limited. So, yes, Mark.
Wiki that I help with is high traffic relatively to anything else. And they use confirm account as well to audit the users who apply. So you thought of doing something like that?
Great question. Mark asked if we've thought of using confirm account to verify the users who come in and apply to want to edit the wiki. So the way we're structured right now, and Danielle can correct me on this, you do have to have a FamilySearch account in order to even be granted editing rights at all for the FamilySearch wiki. And we do have to grant those manually, and we're very structured in who we choose to approve. But we are, yeah, exactly. So we'd love to chat about it if there's some ways that can be better. But
That's the same thing.
oh, it's the same thing. Okay, great. Well, then yes, Mark, we did think something through, I guess, on accident. So.
Is it all right if I add to that? Yeah, but the biggest problem is, so we know the manual style because we wrote the manual style and we train missionaries because that's all they do, but our own staff don't have the time. They are understaffed. Everybody's understaffed, right? And they don't have the time to learn our manual of style. It's not worth it to them to take that time, and it's complicated. And so that's why we don't just let anybody. And the public is even worse because we have not trained them. And we know that. We know it's our fault. And if we had, it would be a different situation, but.
So the real sticking point is the manual of style.
Yes, and WebCAG. Now we can't. I mean, we get busted. We can't fix a page on the language wikis because we need to update all of those articles, and we're still trying to do English. So, yeah, we're weird.
We have a lot of needs. We're very needy. Yeah, we're a weird wiki. We recognize that, but
We're the weird wiki.
right, the weird wiki. Okay, if there's any other questions, come chat with us. We'll be chatting the next couple days anyways, but okay, anything else, and then we'll just let it go. Awesome. Okay, thanks you guys so much.